Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with a restart of Strategic Command World War II World at War. Of course, like I've said before, the World at War was a series, I think it was done in the 70s, maybe late 60s, narrated by Laurence Olivier on World War II. They very well may have been used, the World at War term may have been used before, but that is sort of its famous starting point. Yes, so, and as I was saying to the live audience, this is, just so you know, this is being recorded live on YouTube, so you very well may see some of the chat stuff showing up, and they're going to help me play if they have any suggestions. And you can ring that bell to get notifications when I go live so that you can join me sometime in the future. Okay, like I say, we've been playing this already for some time, Strategic Command. I've learned and relearned a bunch on the game as well, generally speaking on the mechanics for Strategic Command, as well as some very good tips from some of you viewers. So as not to leave anybody out, I'm not going to mention any names, but you know who you are, and of course you're immortalized on the comment sections below, that you've really sort of helped me out getting some tips on how to do this well. And the opening moves are, in my opinion, very critical in most of these games, because if you can sort of set the tone, you can move forward. Okay. Winning the war in China, we have invested a great deal of effort in our war in China, but a decisive victory still eludes us. Now, again, I'm going to comment on stuff about this, and I know I mentioned this before. The reason the decisive victory eluded the Japanese is they did not want a decisive victory. They had no plans or desires for decisive victory. They wanted a limited victory and to eat a bite of China off and take it over and have peace for, I don't know, 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, some amount of time to digest that bite and bring it into the Japanese operations, and then take another bite of China, and then take another bite of China, every few years. Chiang Kai-shek realized this, so he refused peace negotiations from Japan. So so Japan just never really had a real plan for a decisive victory over China, and then it realized that it's becoming a stranglehold because of their actions in China economically. Some people have said, oh no, it was economic warfare against Japan. Yeah, maybe in a way, but no nation is obligated to trade with any other nation, and the US and or Britain wasn't keeping other nations who wanted to trade with Japan from trading with Japan. Japan just had pissed off the Soviets so bad, the Soviets didn't want to trade with Japan because Japan was, kept invading Soviet territory to the north. And so Japan's just bad behavior, even with people, look, the Soviets traded heavily with the Nazis. We'll see that in this game. They would have been willing to trade with Japan, and that could be over the sea out of Europe up until the German attack there, and then after that across the railways across Russia, and then limited, either overland into into Korea and Manchukuo. Kind of thing. So they could have been trading, but no, Japan had pissed them off too. So yeah, Japan's behavior got everybody upset. What is IKB saying? I've seen some of the World at War series. It is very dark, and rightfully so. Yes, it's very dark, very dramatic. It's a very good documentary. It is based upon what was generally commonly known at the time. Things like Ultra, as the British sort of called it, or Enigma machines, the German coded machines. The knowledge that the Allies had broken that code was still not publicly released. So none of the authors refer to it. Even authors who knew about it at the time, like Montgomery, who did write his military history book, which I've read. It's very good. History of Warfare or something like that by Montgomery of Alamein, which includes World War II, but goes back very early. You know, I don't know if quite to the Bronze Age Egyptian stuff, but definitely to Iron Age stuff, all the way through. And so he's including it, but he you know, stays away from letting everyone know just how much the Allies did have knowledge of it. So it's the series is somewhat dated, but it is something I would recommend to everybody to watch if they haven't, and it's worth the time. If you're a World War II history nerd, it's worth the time of watching that. Okay, we should gain control of Nanning. Yes, and I've learned how to do that, and I've practiced doing that. Avoiding war with the UK and USA. Yeah, this is very important, and with the Soviets. So we need to prevent war, USSR from swinging towards the Allies. We need to keep units in these cities. So Manchuli, Tishar, Kaimuzia, boy, yeah, I'm Harbin and King or whatever. Okay, avoid war with the U.S. as long as possible. Yes, we want to avoid the war with them as long as possible. Basically, most of these cities up here, Harbin, King, we need to keep a unit here. And this is a very important thing. Yep, you're right. From a business standpoint, Dark Star, that's probably a good idea because probably more people are going to watch Pawn Stars. And Pawn Stars at least vaguely has something to do with history. It does, because it deals with a lot of historical artifacts. But you're right. And so what comes down to is I bet you, I haven't looked recently, but I bet you something like that, World at War is on YouTube. You don't need to go watch it right now, but is on YouTube or other on-demand services, and or, you know, whether that's Amazon Prime or Netflix or other things. There's ways to watch that when I was a kid did not exist, and so things were hard to see. Okay, so we need to keep units on all of these cities here. But we don't need to keep these units on these cities. What we have the option for is, and we can purchase one now, so we're going to do so. Come over to Japan, garrison unit. These guys are much cheaper, and I'm not even going to bother putting infantry weapons on it. And so we're going to do that. Oh, can we? Well, we may need some more. So we're going to grab, at least starting with one of those, and we're going to put on more. Now, okay. Now, I was informed on how best to take Nanning. Okay, so what we need to do is not attack Nanning. Come here. Come here. Stop each time. So make sure that we get this. We're going to work to cut Nanning off. I'm going to come up here and occupy that. Because the AI will not move this guy off this point. He's sort of limited to that there. Now, so that's a good option here. This is, we're going to see about bringing him down to here. And unfortunately, we can't unload him right now. Now, up here, what we're going to do is prepare and bombard. Yeah, this guy. Okay, so he's been bombarded. These two units. Well, this will probably do the most damage. The least chance of being. Okay, so we've gotten all the way down to there. So, which is quite honestly not what I wanted to have happen. Wanted to kill him outright. Okay. I'm worried a little bit about that. Let's move him around there. Him up to here. That will get us a little better situated there. Now, I know we're likely to have some partisan outbreaks here, so I'm going to move him to Mukden. And I'm gonna just see about getting him, well, maybe just to here. That way to better give command and control to those guys. These guys are sort of useful now, so we're going to put you on board boats. And we're going to come down here with you. And we're going to land here, which will secure a lot more territory and push in there. We're also going to put you on board boats. Ships, yeah, I know. And we're going to come down here. He's going to come down to this port to better push in that range. Now here, this one I don't know about, because I've recently been putting him, because I'm doing some test playthroughs, sending him down to here, but yeah, I think that's the key. Let's put him on board ship and send him down here. Okay, we want to sort of win the battle down in the south. Now, the other challenge I have for myself is to, in 2 turns, bring down Poland. And I found that to be possible, but a bit difficult. So, I think he can take out those guys. He can't take out him necessarily. So we're going to, yes, interceptors, but I should have escorts here. Escorts, shoot them down. They both take damage, but do a lot more damage to them. A little damage to them, and come on. Oh, no, didn't even do that. But, okay. Okay, that's pretty good. So we'll move up to here to take him out. There is a unit in there, I know that. So let's take out this cavalry brigade and move up and grab that. Now here we'll take him out, hopefully. We'll move right up to there. Yes, enemy contact. Knew they'd be there. Hope nothing really much would happen. Okay, so we've done that. We've gotten to the outskirts. But that is far from taking them out. So we want to bombard this unit, even though it may hurt us air power wise a bit. Oh, that actually helped us. Yeah, it did hurt us there. We're going to move ahead with that. Damaging that. Oh, that didn't work out quite as much as well as I'd hoped. That didn't work out as well as I'd hoped either. Okay, yeah, I was hoping to get that city, but now here, these zones of control are not what I wanted to see. Okay. Shattered, good. Now before we do that attack, we want to hit him with some air power. wanted to do. Reduce those defenses, and let's come down here. Yeah. That looks good. Protect these air units, and I want to just move the garrison forward there to there. So, that gets us that. That's just inconclusive, but that's fine. He can just sit there. Yeah, they've already all... Okay, he can move forward a bit more. Yeah, that's a good idea. No, that's a better idea. Okay, and we will move him up. Oh, no. Oh, damn. I want to undo that. Right. Yeah, that's all I want to do. And we'll move. Okay, now, also opening moves here. We don't mind about running into any British Navy stuff because we're not yet at war with Britain, so we want to come out here. So otherwise we would have run into the battleship and had a problem. Come to here. I've sort of had still run-ins a bit with not too high. We want to get through this. Get up and around with our subs. Now here, okay, we have Canada seems to declare war sort of late-ish. So let's come down here. Hopefully we can do that for the first time. And we want to make sure we turn this over to convoy rating, which was my mistake earlier. Not doing it soon enough, fast enough. Okay. So now that you're there. Now this is all still at peace, but by the start of the turn, and again to convoy rating, this next turn that line should turn red. So that we are at war with all of them. Okay, so that is pretty good opening moves. We've now spent most of our money or our MPP on various things where Germany doesn't have much and Italy needs to build up a bit more and isn't doing anything. So we're going to do both of that. So this will be turn 1 for the Axis, as it were. Okay. Yeah. This I'm a little. Yeah, I'm a little. Oh. No, they can't get there. Okay. Yeah, we don't need to do that. I'm a little worried about this, but I don't want to uncover that city either. Okay, yeah, I think that's good. So let's end the turn. Yes. Okay, Lieutenant General Kurt Student's 7th Flieger Division is partially formed. We can deploy it now. I'm going to say no. Basically, we're gonna go no and take a more standard. Our 2nd Corps is nearly for Italy is nearly mobilized ready. We could send reinforcements to Abyssinia at a cost of 30 MPPs. Yeah, I want to reinforce Abyssinia because in my last playthrough, Abyssinia was holding out quite well, or Ethiopia or whatever. So we're going to have it, yes, which will add the Corps headquarters down there. Oh, well, Canada declares war. Sometimes it's been the 2nd turn. It's first to declare war on Germany, actually before Britain. Australia declares war. New Zealand. United Kingdom, finally. France. Polish morale suffers. Canadian supply convoys to the UK began. Kriegsmarine protected naval effort. Okay, so we need to send U-boats. Yes. Okay, so we have that. Our incoming MPP. Japan gets a lot because I think artificially a lot because it needs to put all of its units on board ship, which costs MPP. Yeah, okay, of course you came down to there. Oh, still found him, okay. Good, dive away. Good job. Still wounded a bit. Uh-oh, bumping into this. Maybe I shouldn't have. Ooh, that's a good one. Damage just somewhat. The Anzacs are jumping again. Yep. Okay, Red Army begins to cross the border into Poland. Polish morale plummets as news spreads. British Viceroy of India declares war on Germany. Allies send supplies to China via the Hanoi Kunming Railway. South Africa declares war. Axis raiders disrupt the South Africa-UK convoys. Very good. Now, weather has a big effect in this game. It stops air operations particularly. Okay, so they lost 11 MPP. Okay, send surface raiders. Yes, we're already doing sending out surface raiders, but just a reminder. High Command commissioned General Falkenhurst to study invasion of occupation in Norway. Good. Communist in Yunnan. Yeah, we want to avoid that until we're ready to take them on. Not that we don't want to do that, we just want to make sure we're ready for it. Okay, so now we're here. These guys come ashore. That gets us an army group there. That gets us them push through to there. I think we're actually going to move that back. Oh, you can't. Oh, you can't come ashore right now? Why can't you come ashore? Huh? Ooh. Don't know why you can't come ashore. Don't know. Maybe some logical reason, but I don't know right offhand. Okay, well, why can't you? Okay, you can come down to there. We could move to there. That would work. Okay. That looks good. Okay, so what we're going to do, you're going to come up there, but you won't be able to attack this turn. We're going to look at, those aren't looking too well, so we'll hit here and drive them back. Well, it wasn't the plan. I'm going to then hit them with that and hopefully kill them. But we've now almost got them surrounded. Now let's see if we can take down. Railways crossing straits. An interesting idea. Do you know of a railway crossing a strait, IKB? You're more of an expert on that. Because I know in the modern day world there is an Istanbul bridge that's a railway. I don't know if there was then. But because if you go back to the original Agatha Christie Murder on the Orient Express, a lot of people are crossing, or some of the people are crossing over via ferry across the, from Asia to Europe there. And they would have just taken, obviously, the railroad had it connected at that time. But is the delay... I guess no. I guess because if we're talking about Hearts of Iron 4, if the straits are accessible and there's railways on either side of the strait, and it's accessible in that there isn't a enemy fleet blocking operations, then I guess they can. I guess if they, because the way we're looking at designing this is if there's a railway in this province, and there's a railway in this province, and those two provinces touch, then the railway works. Because we don't, have it worked out like it is here. So yeah, I guess it can. If it does, if the straits do connect at some point, then they can and do. Okay, so now we have to take out this garrison, so we're going to bombard. Okay, that'll do 2. Oh, I should have moved him up. Give us a clue. We're gonna undo that. I think this may be a better choice. May not be. But we're gonna pound on this. And we're gonna take Warsaw. Okay, that does it too. For Poland, the only reason, because they're gonna surrender. Ouch, didn't think that was going to even ouch me. Wish even weakly wars could attack. Get rid of that guy. Get rid of that guy. Yeah, we don't need to bother with this. Okay, let's move some of these guys a bit more. West. Poland is just going to surrender. They can move a little bit because they did attack. These guys, I want to come in here immediately now, and which is one thing I wasn't doing before, is upgrading them to advanced fighters so that they can intercept any allied attacks. Okay, so basically we've defeated Poland in 2 turns. Because they're going to surrender now. I don't need to take more casualties battling these guys. Now, well, we'll see if we can do that. They can just take that city, just make sure we get the most points for it. Okay, so that's good. Poland's done in 2 turns. Got them surrounded down here. I don't know why they're not able to unload. Don't know. There may be some mechanic reason that's specifically for them. But over here now, what we also want to do here, very importantly, is come over, select here, and 1, 2, 3, garrison units. We also want to move carrier down to here. This carrier can come over to here. Yes. Do you think that railways crossing straits should present a bottleneck to represent the delay loading a train ferry or only having one bridge? Well, it should. But I don't know if that's something that can either in game mechanics or is like here. And this is... I don't understand why I can't unload from here. Because they have action points. 14 out of 20. Everything seems to be good. We control this port here. I don't know why I can't unload the troops. Okay, I just don't know. I'm not saying there isn't a... I'm not saying this is a bug. I don't get this. And this is what Hearts of Iron 4 development team very much wants to stay away from, is things like this that may have very good reasons. Maybe it's even something I've done, but very good reasons for happening, or limiting their things, but without the player understanding that clearly, easily. So if you were to say have here, if, because I'm pretty sure on both sides of this, not this is the Dardanelles, the Bosphorus. I keep having to try to remember. Across the Bosphorus, both sides, province-wise, would have railways. I know they did. So, if a player is trying to, or the AI, but I don't know how the AI would deal with it, but if a player is trying to move troops either out of Istanbul into other parts of Turkey or vice versa, trying to reinforce up into here, if they're running into delays or other things, is the player going to understand that intuitively or clearly? Even like, oh, a pop-up or some sort of mouse over thing saying limited because of straits or whatever, limited movement. Are they going to understand that? How easy is that going to do? Is that going to mess stuff up? So it should, but I don't know that we should push for that, because I've still, when we've talked about possible delays or how much capacity a rail line should be able to operate on, because like this game here has armored trains, and I put them on the map, and they can move very fast all around here, but they're limited to moving to hexes, in this case, that have linked railways to where they are. So, if I dropped it here, it could zip over more than half of German-controlled territory right now. Might not be able to quite go from here to here in one turn, but it definitely could go, get from like here to Berlin or something like that. So it can zip around here much faster than most other units, but limited to the railways. And that's really cool. Now, we know the railways are much more dense than what we're seeing here. So this is artificially undense. This is... yeah, this is pretty good out here. So, but the idea that if I have 10 divisions that I want to move from here to here in Hearts of Iron 4 or something, there's probably, and if you're controlling a reasonable amount of territory here, there's probably enough paths that we can move all 10 divisions all more or less at once and have them show up. But if there was only one railway from here to here, I want the idea that they've got to move, say, 2 at a time, you know, 2 per every 5 days or 2 per whatever, just to represent the congestion on a single path railway. Could be a fairly high level, you know, well-developed dual track railway or whatever, but it's just limiting if there was only one path that, and not that these others don't exist, but say that they're enemy controlled. So there's only one railway path. I want sort of the idea that you can't just pick up 10 divisions and at whatever fast speed that they are, all immediately show up here, and that they take time, not an inordinate amount of time, but time to get there, just dealing with congestion. And I've yet to have a good proposal, clear formula for that. And so it will probably just be that if you have a big stack of 10 divisions, they go from here to here all at once. But I'm still looking, as well as demonstrating between level 1, 2, and 3 levels of railway development. IKB and I are planning some railway development for Hearts of Iron 4 that hopefully they'll take into account. I mean, we haven't convinced anybody yet, but we're working on concepts. And part of the concepts are coming a little bit from Strategic Command. Hearts of Iron 4 is a more rich and developed game than Strategic Command. But in some ways, Strategic Command, particularly in railways, is doing a little better than Hearts of Iron 4. They also have a smarter combat AI. Strategic Command does. So if you're a viewer of my, of Hearts of Iron, either 3 or 4, know that, and it's a different, because it's turn-based and other things, but the AI is much better here. I'm not saying that this AI is a lot easier to create compared to the Hearts of Iron 4 AI. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about how effective it is. This does a better job. So, yeah, it should, but I don't think I can get a good way to demonstrate it. Because I'm trying to think, because we have like down here, because there are some railways down in Sicily, I'm sure. At the time, I don't know that there were any in Sardinia or Corsica. Just don't know. We'll be finding that out. I'm pretty sure like Minorca and Majorca and whatever didn't have any railways, but Sicily did have some. I'm pretty damn sure, like we're seeing here. And so there's the Straits at Messina here, and it's so it would be coming across here. Now the Corinth Canal is more of a railway bridge than a strait. But so we do have this, and I just think it gets the flow. I agree with you in a well-designed railway world, but I think we're asking too much for it on that. And on that note, and to talk about it, we're going to end this episode here. I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And of course, I love hearing from you even after the episode. I'm still looking for more tips, hints, suggestions on this game, so please post. See you next time for more historical gaming.